All right, people. So our first review of the day is we're going to do a spoiler review for Supergirl 2026 here. I've already given my review of the movie. I was joined by Nick and a special guest there, Zach. And we reviewed it. Zach was more positive on. He gave it a tune in. Nick gave it a stream, and I gave it a stream it there with it. But we both voiced our disappointment with the movie there of it. I don't think it's the worst superhero movie, even in the last 2 years, because I think this is better than Brave New World. So I think it's better than that. But yeah, a lot of people are tearing this movie apart right now. Currently on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 54%, so it's dropped even lower than when I last looked at it there. The audience score is still pretty solid for it. I mean, it's at 77% right now with that. There are 76% actually. The cinema score for this movie is not very strong. The cinema score, I think it has one of the lower cinema scores for a superhero movie at B minus, I believe it received. But this is the Rotten Tomatoes one right here. And then let me look up the cinema score to be making sure I got it correct there, that it is a B minus, which is, yeah, typically with a B minus, that's pretty bad too, because a lot of these movies, when people rate it, it's like, okay, whatever. I saw a movie, got out the house, even if there's some kind of straight bullshit,
Sure.
whatever. So yeah, so this says like it's one of the lowest cinema scores ever for a DC movie.
That's kind of, I mean, like, I've got my issues with it, and we'll get into that. But that is surprising to me because I feel like there is far worse trash that came out during the Snyder.
So this is
Like, what's the Flash have?
So it lists them right here. So it says DCU film star Millie Alcott and Jason Momoa received a troubling B minus cinema score from moviegoers. A first for DC films, terrible for a PG-13 blockbuster, on par with disasters such as Captain America, Brave New World, and Dark Phoenix, which also received a B minus. And even
That's
below,
an F. Like that. How is that not an F?
Dark Phoenix. I will say Supergirl to me, I think is better than Dark Phoenix. I think it's better, but and also better.
It's not even close between those two, I think.
And it says even below comic book movies such as Batman v Superman. I also think that Supergirl's better.
Yeah.
The Marvels, I think Supergirl's better. The Flash, I think Supergirl's better.
Eternals. The Flash is also an F. That's like an F minus.
Eternals. Yeah, I think Supergirl's better. Quantumanium, yes, I think Supergirl's better. Aquaman 2, yes, I think it's better. Catwoman, yes. Elektra, yes. Man. Bloodshot, I didn't even see that. Did you see that? That's the Vin Diesel one.
No, it looked bad. I didn't care.
And then Green Lantern. Yeah, I think it's better.
Green Lantern's also a fucking F. I hate that movie.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's better than most of these. Yeah. Supergirl is. So yeah. So one of the lowest ones there for a DC film. Yeah, like I said, I gave my thoughts on it. Our review is up on the channel right now. People want to type in the afternoon tune. Type that in on YouTube to be able to find our review there of it, which just posted today. But I'm gonna pass it on to Sage because Sage was not here for our review. He saw it Saturday. Sage, what are your thoughts, man, on Supergirl?
Well, to give just like a non-spoilery version to start with, man, this was this is a disappointing one. It's a very sort of forgettable, sort of by the numbers superhero movie. It feels like it doesn't have a lot of its own sort of spirit and aesthetic. It's a lot of being reminded of other things, other better things. That being said, like, there are some positives to it. I do think she is great as the character. I think she has moments where she's sort of able to shine above the script. And I liked her in the brief appearance we got of her before. So I feel like she is right for this part, and I hope she continues to, get to play this character just and hopefully in films with better scripts. And I think
she is going to be in Man of Tomorrow.
So I'm looking forward to that a lot. I hope she gets to have a good part there. But I think it really just comes down to what is I think just not a good script. just I think a very very weak, sort of forgettable script that. Based on this particular comic I was just holding up a moment ago, I think if you know this book, I think it is easier to have a stronger dislike of the movie, um, because it does sort of have this loose version of this book's plot, like very loose.
Mm.
And I think this is kind of a masterpiece. And so to see it, something that I think is really, really, really strong, um, get translated so poorly and so blandly, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I'd probably give it a low stream it.
Low streaming. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's about what I gave it. I gave it kind of a stream it, low stream it there. On Letterbox, I gave it 2 stars, 2.5. 2.5, I think is what I gave it. With that. So yeah, that's what I kind of said. Disappointing.
Yeah.
Is how I would usually kind of sum up this movie. Untapped potential. There's so many ways I think it could have gone. Where it's like, oh, you could have done this and this would have been better. Or you could have gone here and this would have been better. Um, and then now that it's out, people have been trying to point the finger, like who's to blame for this? Who can we blame for this failure here? James Gunn is getting, I think, as far as like the creative talent behind the movie, beyond the actors themselves, James Gunn is probably getting the most heat for this.
I think he has to take his licks a bit because, how many times did we hear him say, hey, we're not going to greenlight a movie at all unless we have a very finished, tight script. And that's the biggest problem with this movie, I think, is it fundamentally just lies with just what is a really weak script, again, which is translated from a very good story that has a very strong script and very strong characters and a very strong thematic message that this movie just completely kind of throws in the trash, to be honest.
And the woman who wrote this, Anna Nagaria there. So she's also tapped to write other DC projects. So she's also
Yep.
tapped to write the Teen Titans film, also tapped to write the potential Wonder Woman film that's coming out. So I don't know if they're gonna go like, yeah, after that, we just gonna take this away from you. We're gonna maybe
Yeah.
have somebody else come in on this. I don't know if she was the sole writer on those things or a co-writer, but she was working on those.
Yeah,
With that.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to be 100% certain, with stuff like this. For what I've heard is that she did read the book. Sounded like she misunderstood it a little bit, but then like the director,
Craig Gillespie.
he did not read the book. He just went off of the script he was given, and then I think he looked at the book later, like after he'd sort of already kind of based what he wanted to do. So it's possible that the script on its own maybe is a little better, and then in the directing process it gets changed, and they go with the sort of bland visual aesthetics for a lot of things. I mean, this book is exceptionally interesting looking. Just to give one big specific thing right off the bat here, the movie right away on that first world, it sort of feels like any of the sort of slightly techno-y places you might see in a Guardians movie, right? Like, but in the comic, that first world they're on is basically like a medieval, like total medieval fantasy planet. And even when the girl does sort of chase her down to get her to, uh, you know, like accept the mission or whatever, Kara has a little bit of a panic for a moment because she's like, it's almost like in Star Trek, right? How it's like one of the directives they encounter like a more primitive civilization, and it is like against the rule to expose them to too much of their futuristic technology because it would alter like the course of their species. So in the book version of this, when she catches up to Supergirl's like, "Oh, you are not supposed to see my spaceship. Like, this is not good. You were not supposed to be aware of this." And I'll even can hold up some. Oh, well, it does not like that, does it?
Okay,
Because
so
you're
there you
writing
go.
this like big fantasy creature, right, like right off the bat. It
Yeah.
is a, very fantastical place. And throughout the book, they visit a lot of different worlds, a much greater variety than you get in the movie, where you really only get a couple. Um, but they're all very different, wildly different. Again, it feels so fantastical, a lot of it. Like there's a fight with a dragon at one point. There's some like zombie dinosaur stuff going on. Um, just all these super imaginative spaces, and the places they had them visit, and even just started off the story with, just sort of all felt like the same place.
That's a cool looking T-Rex
Yeah.
zombie kind of dinosaur looking thing there.
Another thing too, that's a small detail to but like in the movie, they have like a green sun, which I had never heard of other than this book.
Mhm.
That's not like a thing, or like a type of sun radiation in the book. It's like specifically a it's artificial. It was built to trap Superman.
Mm.
Like it's like a completely artificial like place and like area that they're in, which is where that dinosaur is. And there's like a bunch of creatures that are just there just to have killed Superman at a time previously when he was like left here. And so she gets stranded on this place, uh, by like a magic sphere that like teleports her across the fucking universe when they catch up to this guy, and he has this on hand and he gets away with it. And it's, again, it just, I feel like that's a good example of something that's like in the movie that's from the book, but it's like so devoid of its context and purpose and the way it plays into the plot, that it just sort of feels bland and kind of stupid, to be honest. Like when the green sun comes up in the movie, I was like, oh, this is kind of dumb, the way that this is playing out.
I was listening to one review, one of us.net over there, them boys over there, Chris Cox and them. And they didn't read of the book prior. I think they were told of the book. Some of them were told about the book, and they also kind of had the same remark, I guess, about the green sun of, about like, yeah, this seems silly that there's a green sun there. I don't know. I didn't have
I think
really,
it's silly if it's naturally occurring. In the book, it's like this artificial place constructed to like be a specific individual trap, which makes that concept, I think, make a lot more sense.
yeah, I don't know. Me watching it, I hadn't read the book, so I just kind of was like, well, whatever. It's an alien planet, whatever, green sun, I guess. I mean, whatever.
Well, it's just
Uh,
that there actually are yellow suns and red suns in like our real universe. Like
uh-huh.
those are actual types of suns, and there's not an actual green sun, as far as I know. I mean, I'm not like a astrology or astronomy expert or anything, but I'm pretty sure. I feel confident in saying that I don't think there are green suns.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess yeah. I mean, and we're gonna talk about more of it about the whole people knowing her and everything like that, and spoiler talk there. And the movie is not tracking very well right now. Um,
No.
so right now, let me pull this up right here. This is from Collider. So it says with a 37.1 million at the box office this weekend, the movie fell short of the 55 million haul, The Flash, and the 46 million debut, The Marvels. Both of those movies ultimately tanked, grossing around 270 million and 205 million worldwide, respectively. Supergirl's opening weekend haul also fell short of Morbius with 39 million debut. But it was marginally higher than the openings of Joker, Fale, Adu, and Birds of Prey, and Dark Phoenix. Supergirl is the second installment of the DC universe, which was launched in 2025 with James Gunn there. Let's see. So it's just telling more and more there with that stuff. But with Superman. But yeah, so it's fallen, it's lagging behind a lot of that stuff there with that. Now, like I said, I mean, I think it's better than these movies, for sure. Than the Flash, than the Marvels. I mean, the Flash, I think early on it had the benefit of there were early reviews of people coming out. I don't know who, if they were paying those people or
They
it
were
was some
paying
kind
them
of
or
drug
had
deal.
blackmail on them or something, because that is still, and I say this without being exaggerative whatsoever, it is the single worst film that has ever been made other than Florida Gator.
I know you. Yeah, you hate the Flash. Yeah, I don't like that movie either. But that had the benefit of like early people coming out. Like even Stephen King came out and said, "Oh my God, you got to see the Flash." And it's like, what the fuck? Like, why is Stephen King going to see the Flash?
They gave him a bag of cocaine, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it was like that scene from Family Guy with James Woods, where it's like the candy, except it was cocaine leading Stephen King to the theater,
And he doesn't lift his face up to say anything. He's just
going all the way there like a snail. So there's that. So I
Didn't
think
they
that
also have Tom Cruise come out and talk about how great it was?
yeah, he came out. Tom Cruise came out. And
He's
said
like,
it
I
was
don't
really,
even watch superhero movies, but this was amazing, or something like that.
this was so good. You got to go see it. And then James Gunn said it was really good too, didn't he? Did he say it?
James Gunn, I can sort of buy more because it's a product that his company is releasing and he's the CEO, and there's probably a legal obligation to say good things about whatever's coming out. So I don't totally blame that like that as like as much, but Stephen King and Tom Cruise, like, what do you two have to gain from complimenting this piece of shit? Like, what possibly could you be benefiting?
Yeah. So I don't know what. Yeah, what was that? But yeah, that had at least that. So people went to go see, it, and then that's when the people were like, "Oh shit, this is actually really terrible." So the bad word of mouth spread, and that's when it kind of tanked and didn't do well. With that, and then
And Ezra Miller's crime spree.
yeah, him like terrorizing the whole state of Hawaii, going
There were so
around.
many things. The cult in Iceland, the Hawaii stuff.
Yeah, so he was also fucked up. But yeah, but that was also like also the because that was kind of the last few movies of the DC stuff of like, okay, we're just kind of throwing this stuff out here to get it out. We got this has already been wrapped, it's already been filmed. Let's just
Right.
release.
Well, and I
Aquaman 2
feel
was like
like,
that.
yeah, that's true. I was also going to say, I feel like James Gunn doing a reshoot to have Ezra Miller's Flash trapped with George Clooney's Batman was sort of him saying, I know this isn't good. Trust me, it's not being continued. This is where he's going. Like, I feel like that was like a jab by James Gunn at that movie to be like, don't worry, I'm not trying to do anything more with this.
Then the Marvels. I'd say with that one, I mean, that also got pretty poor word of mouth there, and I didn't really strongly like that movie. I like the cast. I think the cast was really good.
I also think it's like it's a movie with three characters, one that was in movies and two that have only appeared in like Disney Plus series that have them obviously just by definition of it being a streaming service show or shows inherently has a smaller audience. So you're two, like, even though I like both of those actors, I think both of them play those parts well. Um, to depend on like an audience being familiar with like what one out of three characters probably for most people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, both of them premiered in the TV show. One premiered at WandaVision, and the other appeared in her own show, Miss Marvel. There, so it's kind of like, yeah, how many really, yeah, people saw that. And then also there was Morbius, which Morbius had the benefit of people going a little bit of like, because they re-released it thinking people were serious, and they re-released the shit, you know, because they had like that meme and shit. They think, oh, the power of memes will save us. You know, it's Morbin time, and that will help. It's like, no, people still didn't want to see this shit, but I guess people saw it because they were the curiosity of like, how bad it was. I guess that maybe motivated some people.
Yeah. Well, and then when it bombed the second time, it was also because Jared Leto tried to like get in on the joke, and people were like, no, we're done with this now.
Yeah, so people that did, and then Joker 2.
Saw that video, right? That he tried.
Yeah.
That he tried to do, where he's like holding the script and he's trying to be all like, "Oh, I can make a joke too, guys. I'm funny.
Yeah.
I'm relatable. I'm a human being."
Yeah, he's like, yeah. Once the big celebrity gets in on it, it's like, okay, it's not really fun anymore. It's like, yeah,
well, and especially when it's Jared. I mean, like there's not many actors like that are in big movies that I see on a regular basis that I dislike more than Jared Leto.
Have you seen? You haven't seen Masters of the Universe yet, right?
No, I don't like He-Man.
Okay. But I think this was it, right?
Yeah, that's.
What are you reading?
Nothing really. Just no.
Reading.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
As soon as he tried that, everybody was like, "All right, this has been ruined. This is not funny anymore."
Everybody go home. Joke is over. Joker 2, I mean, that was just terrible. I mean, it was like a terrible follow-up, and then it was like weird and yeah.
That was a weird. That was a weird movie. That was a really weird movie. That's gonna be one of those where I feel like years after the fact, I'm gonna look back on and go like, "Oh, they did make a sequel, didn't they?"
Yeah. They tried to make it a musical, and it was like, what the fuck are you doing? Even when people heard that, it's like, I'm gonna turn it into a musical. I was like, what? But yeah, that was Birds of Prey. I liked Birds of Prey. I mean, I had fun with that movie.
I never actually saw that one. I think I was so just frustrated with the whole universe at that point that I didn't even give it a chance.
Yeah, that could have also resulted in it was kind of like in a bad universe, and people are like, okay, I don't want to go see this. And then it was kind of trying to be a vehicle for Margot Robbie and then Harley Quinn, so give her own solo thing. Which Harley Quinn's a popular character,
Yeah.
but I think trying to do the team up thing is like, well, again, and maybe it's the same thing as the Marvels. It's like I don't know who these people are really, and you're trying to set up all these other different people, and it's maybe that was a little tough, maybe. And then
Well, it's also like Birds of Prey doesn't have Harley Quinn in it. Birds of Prey is like Black Canary and the Huntress and
Batgirl isn't Batgirl?
yeah, sure, yeah, her sometimes too. Like it's like I don't know. It's just to make a Harley Quinn. I guess they have the other characters here. It's just to me, it's weird to make like if you were gonna do Birds of Prey, I would think Birds of Prey. Like I wouldn't think Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. Like that's just a weird choice to me. Like
Yeah,
if it
some
was
people
Harley
mention
Quinn,
that.
I'd say Gotham City Sirens. Like throw Poison Ivy in there. Throw like a Live Wire maybe.
Catwoman.
Catwoman. Yeah, like that to me is what I would think if you wanted to do like a team up thing with Harley Quinn.
Yeah. I forgot that Zaz was in that movie. I guess that's the big screen debut of Zaz. Zaz was in.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, no, he was in briefly. So I mean, he probably not as like the thing that stands out about the movie. He was in Batman Begins though.
Oh, like a cameo. He was in the Arkham Asylum's thing.
They say his name and he's like on screen enough for it to be like this is who this is. But it's like 1-2 scenes. It's quick. It's quick.
Yeah, but I liked it. I liked Ewan McGregor's performance. He was Black Mask in it. He's playing a very effeminate, like flamboyant Black Mask, really of it. Not usually like the gangster type guy. But I kind of like that for it. But yeah, like you said, I mean, also it's not Birds of Prey from the comics. It's like you should have just gone Gotham City Sirens, or just rename the movie Harley Quinn and focus more on Harley Quinn, and then maybe introduce like bring in Poison Ivy or Catwoman. Like those villains, people know, and people know, and she's had a relationship, especially with Poison Ivy in the comics before, and then in the TV show. So I think that would have probably been better for that movie instead of Birds of Prey. People going like, I mean, the fuck is that? I mean, I don't know. This is a new team or something.
And I think you could sell that, but that team needs to be what the whole movie is if you're going to do it.
Yeah. And then also there's Dark Phoenix, which also, I mean, those movies kept getting worse and worse. It started off super strong, and then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Like Apocalypse was before that, and Apocalypse was terrible.
I do think the strongest one was Days of Future Past, and because I think First Class is good, but it does have some issues.
Yeah, I really like First Class a lot. I think that's pretty strong. It's between that and Future Past, which I think is the best one. But yeah, that just kept having like after Days of Future Past, it was Apocalypse, which was really bad.
Apocalypse was terrible. That's such an awful. I'm very excited about the second season of 97 because we're gonna get seemingly, hopefully, really good Apocalypse. But that's a character that is just. I mean, he looked like what was that Power Rangers villain, Ivan Ooze?
Yeah, a lot of people said that he looked a lot like Ivan Ooze. Yeah.
That was not a good way to break. Honestly, if you're going to do Apocalypse in live action, I think you need to take the same approach that they did with Thanos.
Like make him like tease him and then have him be the big thing at like the end of the trilogy you do.
Oh, well, I mean, not even that. I mean, from a visual perspective, I think you need to have him be a CG character with the sort of like, very larger than life, like stature of Thanos, and then you need to get an actor who you can kind of put their face in the model and then do a really good voice. But
Like what they
I
did
think
with uh fuck, what's his name? Fantastic Four.
Galactus,
Galactus.
I think that Galactus looks amazing. I think that's exactly, yeah. So like Galactus, like Thanos, like the how like the Hulk is handled as an effect.
Yeah. And they put the guy's face on Galactus and everything, and it looked really cool. It looked really good there. His voice really worked for it. You know what I mean, and that was also good. But yeah, they said it was very Ivan Ooze ish.
Yeah, that was bad. That was not good. And I mean, yeah, the Dark Phoenix, and then I never watched New Mutants, but I've heard that it was not good.
Yeah, that was I think they just dumped that on streaming. I think right. I think did that get released?
I think it had a theatrical release, but it probably wasn't very long.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, that movie got delayed how many times? I mean, it was a joke at one point that it would never come out because they delayed it like 4 or 5 years.
Oh yeah, it did get released in the so it had a budget of 67 to 80 million and box office for 49.2 million. So I had that. So yeah. With that there. So those were the movies there that also bombed superhero movies. I guess a lot of people are connecting, being a female-led superhero movie with it being kind of a box office success. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but that was just to bring up some of that it's not really performing that well here. And this is probably going to spark conversations maybe about like superhero fatigue and people tired of superhero movies. That happened a lot last year because last year you had Superman, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts. Brave New World,
and
Fantastic Four. Neither of them made $1 billion. Neither of them came close to making $1 billion.
I think there's definitely, I'd almost say there's more Marvel fatigue specifically. Because Superman did pretty well. Like, yeah, it didn't cross $1 billion, but
600 million.
I think it did very respectably.
Yeah, it made over 600 million. I heard even that was kind of like what people were like, well, maybe should have made more, maybe with that. But yeah, then that kind of sparked the conversation of like, oh man, are people done with these movies? Are people tired of them? Then Superman came out and was like, okay, they did kind of well. And then even with this, because the next superhero movies you have is you have Spider-Man, which is definitely that's going to make $1 billion.
Even if it sucks, because Spider-Man always makes money.
Yeah, and then people are probably expecting like, cameos, what's going to happen, who they're going to bring in, and that's probably going to draw
everybody, from what I can tell.
Yeah, it's going to be like everybody. Like Spider-Man movies apparently are just like, it's like Civil War 2.5, it's like Avengers 2.5 where everybody shows up, oh, hey, Spider, can I join in this? But yeah, so that's definitely probably going to make $1 billion. I'd be shocked if that movie does make $1 billion. Then Clayface is coming out, which is a DC film.
I think if what they say is true and it is kind of fully committed to horror and just being a outright straight up horror film, I think that one has a chance to do well because, well, in theory, I hope that means it's relatively low budget, but also I think it might be able to capture like a horror movie audience rather than a superhero audience.
Yeah. Which just has a small budget, relatively. It's like 40 million. So it wouldn't be hard. Awesome. So I don't think it'd be hard for this. At least if it's decent, it won't be hard to make its money back with this.
Plus Mike Flanagan. I think there's excitement around Mike Flanagan having written it.
Yeah, that's true. And him being like one of the masters of horror right now, I think is pretty good. And then the Supergirl movie, I think they said there's expecting to lose about 100 million is what DC.
Maybe more, I think I even saw.
Yeah, and I'll pull up that article in a minute here. And then there's Avengers Doomsday is coming out in December.
Which I want to bomb, to be honest.
You want to bomb? I mean, it's going to be Cameo Fest, the movie, so that might push it over, and then that might help it. But it's also going to be competing with Dune, which may take away from it. So I don't know how I think
Dune would crush it if they... Yeah, because it seems like they're not budging on moving that release date. Dune's gonna kill Avengers, I think.
With that, so it says so even maybe might be more, 125 million.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy there with that. So with that, so yeah. So it might kind of lose that much amount of money with it. before we get into kind of more of the spoiler talk with this about just the movie and the plot and all the things issues I had with it, um, I mean, is it just because this movie, just like you think one of the main issues is just not that strong of a film? It's just kind of everyone seems like when they see it, it's kind of like, okay, it's just okay at best. Like that seems like the highest people go with it. But I have some people go like I've seen some people go like, I love it. I think it's great. They had a great time with it. But it seems like most of even the people kind of like, it's like, it's kind of okay. You think that's just what it is?
I mean, I think that's a lot. I think that's the majority of it. The trailers, which I was even kind of into what I was seeing in just the trailers, and I was looking forward to it just based on that. I think it promised a much more exciting movie than what actually came out. But I think it's fair to say people are still weary of superhero films, even though I think it's mediocre films is what people are wary of, and there just have been a lot of mediocre superhero films. So I think this movie had that uphill battle for sure going. But if it had been really good, I think word of mouth would have gotten people in the theaters. I think you look back to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which had kind of at the time it was like, oh, this isn't having the greatest opening weekend, and then it was good enough that because people kept talking about it, it ended up having a good box office run overall. So, unless you're one of the, big title characters, right, or big title IP, I think you're going to have an uphill battle because the superhero boom is sort of over, right? Like you just have to try harder. You have to put out something that's like really quite strong. There are some franchises that can get away with it and make money. Spider-Man's one. They've done it a couple times in a row now. But Batman, Superman, there's certain characters, Wonder Woman I think is probably one of them. There's certain characters that are going to do well even outside of a superhero boom. But if you want a character that people aren't as familiar with to do well, you really got to put more effort in.
Well, I mean, not Wonder Woman 84.
Well,
I mean,
that was terrible. That was. I mean, they made that's a movie that made Wonder Woman a rapist. I mean, that you were going so far out of your way to just ruin a character.
On a budget of reportedly 200 million, that movie made 169.6 million. So it made that. Yeah, Wonder Woman 84 is pretty bad. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I think it's a combination. Like it's just kind of a disappointing, kind of mediocre kind of movie there with that. Like it's hard to be like, yeah, go spend your money and go see Supergirl. Like, like people might punch me in the face after I tell them that. Tell them, why you tell me go see that shit? With that. So that might happen. And then maybe competition. You got Toy Story that's out right now. The Minions is gonna be out next week. I don't know, maybe also Jackass maybe is also taking away some of that box office, maybe. So you got a lot of kind of competition at the moment right now.
I will say though, this movie's far more tolerable than any Minions movie.
True, I'm not too fan of the Minion stuff, and then people speaking Minionese and all that other shit. I'm like, okay.
I hate it.
Jeff Bridges, he was speaking Minionese.
God, is it dementia?
Somebody was like, "Oh, are you having a stroke, Jeff Bridges? Do we need to call somebody for you?" But yeah, he was on the red carpet speaking Minionese. There, he's speaking that.
Is he in one of these movies? Or?
Yeah, he's in the new one, Minions and Monsters, is what he's in.
I mean, I was kind of blown away that they made Cthulhu like one of the main characters of the next one, but man, I hate these Minions movies. I hate them. I really can't see these little things.
But they make a lot of money. They make tons of money. I think the last one maybe made $1 billion, or they make a lot of money.
Good Lord, $1 billion Minions? Are you serious?
Yeah, the first one made $1 billion.
My
so
heart hurts.
So yeah, maybe it's competition this weekend. I don't know. Maybe what month would have been best, or at least if it's a mediocre movie, it's a mediocre movie. Maybe that's not saving it with that. But yes, spoiler talk wise, so get into a lot of the story with this. And it kind of leads into the box office talk as well. Do you think this movie would have served better? And I think maybe Nick mentioned it, that maybe Woman of Tomorrow just wasn't a good first Supergirl story. Maybe you should have set her up first.
That's exactly something I've been saying over the last day or two since I saw it. I think Nick is 100% on the money. This movie is partially what it is because it has to act as an establishing first film, and it is trying to put this other story in around that and somehow mix them together. And I think that's a huge part of why it comes across as so bland, because it can't really do either of those narratives. It has to sort of stitch two different things together and then not really succeed at being either of them. I think Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, at least, and now you're probably not going to get a direct sequel Supergirl movie, I wouldn't think. I think she'll show up in other stories, but like I don't see why they would put the money into doing another solo film after this is bombing as bad as it is. But it absolutely, they should have done something else for the first one, and then provided that they were able to get a sequel greenlit because it did well, Woman of Tomorrow would have made a fantastic second film.
Yeah. And this was kind of one of the cases where usually with a space adventure, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to see Earth, get away from Earth. But this, I thought we could have served to have Kara on Earth and see her try to acclimate and try to adjust, and the culture shock of her trying to live on Earth there, and Clark trying to show her the way. And then her kind of like, yeah, so you would understand why she wants to run away from Earth and then go to all these different planets and drink herself silly and everything like that.
Well, in the book too, it's not even that she's got this like ongoing. This is like after she's been used to the world, but she just wanted to go for her 21st birthday because it was her 21st birthday.
Oh, it has nothing to do with like her losing her planet. Well, also the comic, I mean, this gets into the larger thing of like it's already in the lore of the DC universe.
Yeah.
So all these things are kind of already, like Supergirl's already kind of like you said, kind of already been Supergirl for a minute now and everything. Whereas this, because when she's in space, it kind of goes into one of my issues with the movie. So the villain of this movie, which is also something people are harping on, Krim.
Yeah, he's I still, he's not as bad as Malekith, but he's getting down there.
So he has a thing where he poisons her with kryptonite, and he also hides out on a planet with the green sun. But it's like, how does he know that would work on her? Does he like know that she's Kryptonian? It seems kind of
that doesn't really make sense in the movie, right? Because they're not so famous, or because they're not so well known yet. Now in the book, it's like he uses this magic sphere, he teleports her out to this planet that, this fake sort of artificial place, and that effect happens. But in the comic, they know, everybody knows, of course that he knows who Supergirl is when it comes up. Well, there's actually more to that, but I'm not going to get into that right just yet.
Yeah, because when you watch like cartoon shows or animated movies or something, like when Superman goes off world and goes to other planets, like people know like, oh, it's even, he's famous around the galaxy because he usually does missions around the galaxy and does, so people are like, oh, you're Superman, or you're a Kryptonian, and Kryptonians are famous, you know what I mean? So it's like, it makes sense that maybe in the comic that he would know that she'd be vulnerable to Kryptonian, but then kryptonite, but then here it doesn't, because it's like, well, how do you know that for sure? So that was kind of a thing. I was like, that makes sense. And then the villain is terrible. And he seems like, okay, you're trying to do like a Mad Max Road Warrior thing with him. Also,
Which is so not what he is in the comic at all.
Yeah, in the comic, he just looks like a guy. He just looks like just a guy, man.
Yeah, well, so I guess this brings me to like one of the big things I mentioned before, right? How that planet the girl's on is like sort of a medieval fantasy world. So in the comic, Krem isn't from like another planet. Like he doesn't like show up and like kill her family there, like, but because he's coming down like as like a marauder. In the comic, he's from that world. He's a king's agent. Like he's almost like a what's the word for it? The like during like the crusades and stuff, you'd have like the priests that would like come in, and or like they wouldn't quite be priests. Inquisitor, that's the word. He's almost more like an inquisitor coming around to see if like people are faithful or like worshiping or have enough fealty for like the king in this area, because again it's this like medieval place, and he kills her father because her father sort of implies that he has more fealty to the king, or like is a more honorable man, and it's like this ego thing, and he just kills her father, and then the sword she's carrying around the whole comic, it's not a sword her father blacksmithed, it's Krem's sword that Krem left in her father when he killed her father. So she's carrying it around because it's the murder weapon. There is no blacksmithing thing to the they
Okay.
made up a lot of weird details and changed a lot of like small elements of it, only to leave like I guess these bigger broad sort of concepts roughly the same. But they changed so many things about like how the actual setup works and what it looks like, and again the aesthetics of it, Krem, because he's from this world, he's not even part of this like group of brigands in the movie, right? In the comic he's not part of this group until he does get off planet, and he like sort of experiences other worlds, and he eventually joins up with a group of mercenaries called the brigands for like a smaller portion of the story later on. But like he's not like the leader of some group or any, like he is genuinely just kind of like an asshole inquisitor coming around for like a medieval king, punishing people in like almost an old school again medieval way. And then I also wanted to bring up the page of the brigands just again to show you the sort of artistic sensibility of the book here. But you're looking at like a
Okay.
giant, as it
Look, as a
is,
boat. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
giant like space boat pirate ship thing sailing around the again, creative, visually interesting, aesthetically something interesting is going on there. Movie, it's just like a bland gray, sort of just very generic looking spaceship. And I think that's just like him as a villain is that everywhere they go is kind of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was also one thing I remarked in my review is that Supergirl, it's like you look at the comic, beautiful visually, great art, the colors pop,
And
everything. And then
every
we,
place they go to is like wildly different from the last.
yeah, like all the planets, everything like that, everything looks so beautiful. And then here, everything's super bland and boring and dull to look at. None of kind of any spark of, beauty or anything or wonder in this galaxy, nothing. It's just kind of like, and there's some planets you could go to where it's like run down, you could have that aesthetic.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
good for going to one place and having that there in that one place, but it's every place.
Yeah. And then so yeah, I didn't really get that of how he knew the kryptonite and all that stuff would work on her. And then also I was confused as to like the power levels of these people. Like, oh, well, you froze there. Oh, Sage, you good? Uh, you're still frozen there. Yeah, try to exit and then rejoin. Try to do that. See if yeah, you're kind of frozen there. Uh, hold on. So hold on, Sage is having some technical difficulties there. Let's see if we can get him back. Uh, okay. Hello, you there, Sage? Sage. Oh, here you go. Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
You're back.
Fireworks.
All right. Fireworks. Yeah. So yeah. And speaking of a crim, okay. So I was confused as the power level of these brigands. Like, are they supposed to be as strong as Supergirl, weaker than Supergirl? Because like, there's the one hijacker of that bus that she was on that said that he was like had the strength of 1,000 men or something. So I was like, okay, does that mean that he's on the same level as her or not?
They treat them at least as like at least as significantly stronger than say humans on just Earth for sure. which sometimes you get in I guess in space in like DC, where like maybe sometimes the average aliens will be significantly stronger, but they didn't really do a good job in the movie of sort of going like, well, this alien species is this stronger compared to this one. I feel like they don't really give you much of a sense of like specific alien species, even really, like other than I guess Lobo is mentioned as being a specific thing, but like it's kind of just like a mash of, and I do like that there's a lot of practical effects. I like that part of it for some of the aliens that are like in like the backgrounds and scenes, but it is sort of just a lot of like, yeah, here's a bunch of aliens. It's kind of unspecific. Like in DC, there's Daxam and there's the species that Mongol is, and Sinestro's got like a particular, like the Quard, the Quardians. There's the Thanagarians. There's so many specific alien races, and they didn't really ever have anything specific. It was just sort of like, yeah, they're aliens, go with it.
Yeah.
But there's a huge tapestry of specific species, and they could have, like you could do some really interesting stuff, and maybe you don't go out of your way to say the names of all of them and point out what they are, but if you're going to have like these background scenes packed with a bunch of different aliens, why not pull from what the ones that actually exist in the comics?
Yeah. I was kind of just confused by then. Like, yeah, most people they kind of interact with just kind of, okay, they kind of look like people. I mean, they're mostly just kind of like the brigands, the other people she goes to the planets and everything.
And there are some very human like places like the Daxam, which I mentioned just now. Like that's like an alien race that look basically like humans, very well, and they're like sort of a spit off of the Kryptonians. But the Kryptonians alone, like there are races that do just look human, or like the Thanagarians, other than the fact that they have the big bird wings, look pretty much human.
Yeah. So, and then the villain. I mean, you could have a bad villain because like Guardians has a bad villain, but it doesn't matter.
Ronan is a terrible villain, and because that's a great character in the comics, they butchered him in that movie.
But everything else in the movie is really good. The soundtrack is really good. The characters are really good. The writing, the chemistry is really fun. So it's like it doesn't really matter if the villain sucks. It's just like, oh, you're just having fun watching these characters interact.
I think you can either have some weaker main characters, or you can have a weaker villain. But as long as the other is really strong, you can sort of forgive some of that. But if both are weak, well, then there's just nothing to attach yourself to. And I think that's a big issue here because, like Supergirl, I don't mind her. I like this actress as her. Ruth, the companion character, I thought she was straight up bad.
She's a little stiff, I think, in a lot of stuff. Eve Ridley is the girl who plays Ruth there.
Who would have been a really, but she's kind of short still. So she could probably play a younger character for a while. But reading the book, I think that who I sort of would envision as pulling this part off well, because this is a good character in the comic. This is a character. This is not like a new character for the movie. This is sort of the central sort of, again, broad plot of the book. But do you remember when Bella Ramsey first like showed up in Game of Thrones and like everybody loved her?
Yeah,
that's what the energy of this character I feel like it's supposed to be.
Okay, and then even in the book, again, it goes to the fact that it's already like in an established world, DC Comics, long history, that she kind of looks up to. She already knows who Supergirl is, right? And
she doesn't.
Oh, she doesn't. Oh, okay.
Because the world that this story starts on, it's like I mentioned, it's sort of like in Star Trek, where like if a world is sort of it's like primitive enough.
Oh, okay.
Have a lot of technology, like they're not space traveling. Like she
no outside communication.
Yeah, okay. She didn't even really like have a sense of there being other planets at the beginning of the story. Like she when she follows Supergirl back to her ship, Supergirl's like, oh, you're not supposed to see this, and she like has to explain what the spaceship is by comparing it to like a horse, because she's like, it takes you places. Like there's this whole element of this place being like a fantasy planet, and there's not space travel going on here, except for Supergirl happening to be there when this situation with her and her family has. Also, it's only her dad that died. They don't. It's not her entire family getting
Yeah.
butchered in like a Looney Tunes skit. It's just her dad out by himself, gets killed by this Inquisitor, and then he like runs off. And then like there's scenes of the family, like she talks to her mother about what happened and like what they're gonna do for like the funeral for for the father. It like the fact that the movie felt it so necessary to do like this extra. It's like in The Punisher with Thomas Jane, where it's like it can't just be his wife and kids. He's got to have like 150 people at an extended family reunion all get gunned down at the same time. It's almost like the same logic they used here.
Okay. And then that was also another kind of moment in the movie where it's like I didn't understand of like so they changed the whole thing where this guy Krim, the brigands, they're in. So her family, her father creates these swords. He's a blacksmith and he makes these powerful swords.
Which is never important past the first scene.
Okay, yeah. Because I thought, I mean, she doesn't really use the sword that much, really. She uses
and none of his other weapons, like whatever other swords he made or other weapons he made, that never comes up. That's never relevant.
Yeah, it seems like I don't know. Did they not take those weapons, the brigands or whatever? I don't
Seemed
know.
like it.
So they come in and then they're looking for that, and then her stupid brother like pops out, and then the Krim kills him, and then he like kills the whole family because the mother attacks him, and the father attacks him, so he kills both of them. And then the whole thing with these brigands is that they're human traffickers. So they kidnap girls and then breed with the young girls so they can create more brigands and kill the girl brigands, and only are trying to create male brigands, which is kind of like also like Mad Max. Like he was trying to have a whole race there of just men and other what do they call them, road boys or
the war boys.
War boys, yeah, war boys there. So
none of that is in the book.
Okay. So none of
the brigands are in the book, and that's the name that they're called, but they're space pirates, and like they steal and will like go into wars and stuff, and they're a mercenary group. There's definitely none of the trafficking stuff. Krem is not their leader. He joins up with them like later because again he's from this planet too, and he just sort of is acting in this completely unrelated context, and then he steals Supergirl's spaceship. Not really. He actually gets on board as like a place to hide. He doesn't know what a spaceship is. He doesn't realize this thing's already been like programmed to take off on autopilot, and it just takes off with him inside, like unintentionally. Like he didn't even mean to leave. So it's a weird the way that they decided to approach these things. It's really weird.
So when he kills her family, she's just standing there looking and in shock. But he doesn't take her, which there's not even a scene where she runs, and then maybe it's like something like in Glorious Bastard where that little girl ran and then he had the gun on her, but he's like, fuck it, whatever. No, he just, I don't know, they're just looking at each other and he doesn't take her or whatever. So it seems like, why didn't he do that? But
when you then later explained that his entire sort of like little society's purpose is to like kidnap girls and then procreate to make his like group bigger. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense why that didn't come up. He wasn't thinking about it. He forgot. Like what?
Yeah. And then that leads to the girl trying to go find somebody like a bounty hunter. And that's when she runs into Supergirl. And all that, and that's how that kicks off. But also, I think would have been good is that because one of the inspirations for this movie was True Grit. That's what the director said, Craig Gillespie. That was a big thing, and because the little girl, I guess, and her, it seems like they should have introduced Lobo earlier, and they should have had like
a different movie.
Maybe in a different movie. I was kind of a little underwhelmed by Jason Momoa's Lobo in this a little bit. I still thought he was kind of good, but I was kind of a little underwhelmed.
I think it's I agree, but I think it's all just on the script. I think it's just a matter of script and just plot because he doesn't matter. Like he doesn't actually matter to the plot. His whole thing is that he's after another guy that's part of this group, but it's not Krem. It's like Krem's right hand man, and Lobo's like, "I'm gonna get your right hand man," and Krem's like, "No, I like my right hand man, so like I guess I'm gonna fight you too." Like that's not a character or a story. Like what is that? Like that's not like that's like a Darth Helmet like extended relation that means nothing. Like there's no reason for him to be here. So like I like him as the character, but he doesn't matter.
Yeah, he comes in a little bit here and there, and then I don't know how he gets, because he gets captured by the brigands, and he shows up at the end because he's in the cell, because that little girl Ruth also gets captured by them eventually for the big climax scene that they do. But it's like, again, it's like, how does Lobo get captured? Because Lobo's pretty strong. Like Lobo
He
is
can
like,
fight Superman.
yeah, he throws.
Blood.
He's pretty up there as far as strength level. Like you said, he could fight Superman. I've seen him, fight Superman. So, and I don't know. I mean, whoever's writing him, I mean, it's like, it depends, I guess, on how strong he is. There's always changes. Superman, same thing. That always can change who depends on who writes him. But I don't know why Lobo is there. I mean, again, their whole mission is to kidnap little girls and to breed with them. I guess you could maybe say they want to kidnap Lobo because they want to sell him, maybe because he's a bounty hunter and they can get some money for him, and then somebody goes like, "Oh, I want him." Maybe
they should have said that at some point.
Because what other reason? I guess because I was thinking, why is he in the cell? And I was also thinking, how did he get captured? Because like he's supposed to be pretty strong and pretty powerful. And then
he should be on Supergirl's level.
Yeah,
very equal.
And they should have maybe did the thing where they even fought. And then maybe teamed up because they all share a common goal. They all want to go to get these brigands, and then maybe Lobo should have been introduced earlier because, like, okay, he could have been, if you're doing like True Grit, like one could have been the Jeff Bridges, one could have been the Matt Damon, and obviously the little girl Ruth is the Haley Steinfeld character, and then they could have been like, okay, this small little fucked up family of like, okay, we all share a common goal, we all want to get the brigands, and then Lobo could have been the devil on her shoulder. Supergirl could have been the angel because Lobo's kind of like, yeah, fuck it. Let the little girl, get revenge. Let her kill this dude, and everything. And Supergirl's like, oh, no, she's got to keep her innocence. And that would do so much to her and everything like that. So I think that would have worked also much better if they just did that. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, just anything to make him matter to the plot that is actually unfolding. I think it would have also been a good choice to have him been hunting Krem instead of a guy that worked for Krem that I couldn't even tell you the name of.
Yeah, he's looking for this other random henchman. I was like, I mean, his bounty seems like it would be smaller in comparison to the big main guy, Krem. Yeah. But so why are you looking for this guy when you want the big fish of Krem or something? I don't know.
You'd think so. That would seem to track, but yeah. So that's a stupid choice. If at least if like let's say Lobo wanted Krem, then you could have had them fight over it and then maybe agree to work together, and you could have had some character conflict of some kind.
Yeah, they could have fought, and that's where you could again power scaling of like, okay, you could have seen, oh, this dude is bad. He can take on someone like Supergirl, and he can fight Supergirl, and they can trade blows and everything.
I mean, when they first announced a Supergirl movie, sort of what popped into my head, and this is never what it was going to be, but the idea that she's going off and spending time under red suns, and I kind of figured like if you were going to do this big thing with Lobo, it would be that, oh, she's a Kryptonian. There's only 2 Kryptonians left. She's got a bounty for being like a rare species. Lobo's the bounty hunter trying to track her down. You could have done something much more interesting with just him trying to hunt her.
Yeah, that's true. He could have done that. And the way he kind of comes in is kind of like halfway through, kind of sloppy.
And I think his first scene is his weakest scene because I also don't think his voice is quite working. I think he kind of figures the voice out in the other scenes, but in that first scene I feel like he wasn't even really doing like enough of a voice for Lobo. I think he gets it as it goes along. I think he does find the voice, but at first it doesn't really sound right.
Yeah, but like I said, this is the character that he thought he was going to play when he auditioned for Aquaman, and he got called in and everything like that. Looks like the character, you know.
Yeah.
Looks like him, and
I think this is right. I think this is right, and this is good, and I think they need to bring him as this character into a different movie that actually has him do something or be relevant or engage the story in any some sort of meaningful way. But I think he as the character in like the broadest sense, I think that does work. I think that does make sense.
so yeah, that Lobo character, I thought that would have been a better addition to this. I like the Argo stuff. I like that, showing that of her on the planet.
That maybe should have been what the first movie was about.
I liked when she's interacting with Clark. I like that. Like we see her a little bit on Earth, and we see even at the end when
You
she
can tell
goes
those
back,
were reshoot scenes too.
like at the Earth when she goes at the very end.
Every scene with Clark in it, I think, was a reshoot.
Interesting. Okay. So yes, I like those scenes. I like how they interact. So I'm excited to see her and him interact more in Man of Tomorrow. I'm excited to see that. Um, so that was good. I thought those were some good elements. Millie Alcock, I thought was good as Supergirl. So I still think, I don't know. I mean, it'll be tough to justify like a sequel for her because of
I
obviously,
don't think they can.
you know, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, there's, like I said, I brought up X-Men Origins Wolverine, but that had a better box office, so you can justify like, okay, let's give this another shot. And Wolverine's a
And that
popular,
is a way worse movie than this too.
yeah, and it's like, okay, well, Wolverine's a popular character, so even though this movie sucked and it was critically a flop, box office it didn't do too bad. And then but it got better. You know, there
Right.
was the Wolverine and there was Logan, and eventually it's like, oh, okay, it's pretty great now. But
I just don't
yeah,
think Supergirl on her own is as a popular enough character to just easily get that chance again.
yeah, and that's what I think added to maybe some of the, maybe you did need to do more of a straight origin with her,
I think
as a,
so.
because as opposed to like Superman, where it's kind of like, well, we know a lot about Superman. People know a lot about Superman already, so you don't need to do that much. But I think people know Supergirl being in relation to Superman, but people don't know Supergirl as her own character.
And
And
even in knowing her in relation to him, it's like only if you watch like a bunch of the cartoons or are a comic reader. If you're just a mainstream like movie general audience member, you probably don't even know that character exists, to be honest.
yeah, and looking back on it, some people say like, man, Supergirl, even people were kind of lukewarm on Superman. It's like, man, it made me really appreciate Superman 2025 more. And I really like Superman 2025. And I think David Cornstar's a great Superman, but this had like, and even this movie got accused of being Guardians too. Like, oh, you're just getting guns, just doing Guardians again. But you know, this movie had memorable characters. It had great hero moments.
A really good villain.
A great villain in Lex Luthor. You know, even people like, you know, like Mr. Terrific. Everybody was coming out of like,
Yeah.
man, I want a Mr. Terrific show. Like he you know, people came out with that.
Well, and that's the other thing is like Supergirl. Even though I like her little moment at the end of the first movie, it's very short, and that's probably not what people are going to be like really focused in on. Now, a Mr. Terrific movie that might have pulled people in because he made such an impression, but she wasn't in the first movie enough for that to make as big of an impression on most people.
Yeah. So, you know, like that had memorable characters and great moments. And even it did the typical superhero shit of like the music playing during the fight scene. And it had Mr. Terrific, like with the fun thing. But I think it helped that people liked him. So it like people went with it, even though it's like this is kind of tired, this whole music fight scene thing. And then in Supergirl, they do it, which people are calling like one of the worst needle drops in maybe all of cinema, you know, at least superhero movies, where at the very end it's Jimmy
There are
Eats
some
World.
bad ones in the Zack Snyder movies. That
Yeah. We thinking maybe some from Watchmen?
no, I actually don't mind the ones in that one as much. I'm talking about in like Justice League or BVS. Where's that one where they do the slow motion hot dogs, and I forget what song they play, but
Slow motion. Oh, like slow motion.
it's when Ezra Miller's Flash like has like the one scene in the Snyder cut with Iris West, and there's like a car crash and it hits a cart of hot dogs, and then it's like a whole slow motion scene of like a sea of hot dogs floating in the air, and it's like supposed to be romantic or something.
Oh, okay. I remember that scene, but I don't
I
remember
thought
what song.
Did they maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I thought they played like some kind of really like not great song over it. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong though.
I remember that scene. Let me see. Damn, why is everything so gray? Jesus Christ.
Because
Oh,
it's Zack Snyder and he doesn't know what color is.
okay, so this is
Maybe I just remembered that wrong.
there is some type of music playing.
On shipless ocean,
I have no idea what the song is, but okay.
I don't know, like that to me is a way worse moment.
Yeah. So it's Jimmy Eats World, the middle, but it's like a folk cover version of it or something, like an acoustic version of
Yeah,
it.
it's weird. It's not great. It's not great. And then I did you see the director say that they like went through like 45 other songs before picking that one.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think he blame Gunn. He's like, well, Gunn's the one that picked it. He's the
I
one that
think
picked
so,
it.
yeah.
He was like, well, Craig goes, I didn't pick that song. Gunn picked that song. And James Gunn loves his music. That wasn't me. Hey, don't blame me for that one. I was like, okay. He threw his ass under the bus. But yeah. So yeah, I mean that one was it was just kind of it was very weird, that song.
It was very weird.
It was
Also,
weird.
it did that right before that moment, we also did the like very tired superhero movie thing of big thing blow up in the sky, people fall off thing onto ground underneath, fight in air as things fall.
It did that too, yeah. It's filled with so many these again, now that we've seen so many superhero movies, these tropes, it wouldn't matter so much if the movie was better. If the characters, the writing was better, you could go with it and you could have been like, oh well, fuck it, whatever. I'm going with it because I love just seeing these people. But it doesn't have that going for it. So you're gonna notice all those things like, oh yeah, the fight scene with the music. And that also looked really terrible. That looked really ugly too at the end, the visuals, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then also, I swear this movie does like 4 or 5 times where they go, all right, we're gonna do the rotating camera shot for a long take. Like, I didn't mind it in Superman because that was the only action scene that was filmed like that, so it stood out and it made sense. And it was like, okay, here's this one scene filmed this way. But I swear they do that same rotate shot like 5 times in this movie. And it's also not edited very well, and you can't totally clearly make out what's happening all the time either.
Yeah. Did you like some of the action scenes when it like in the middle of the movie, like the hand-to-hand stuff or any of that? I thought that was kind of decent.
Some of that was all right. I still feel like it was edited kind of choppy though.
Yeah. And I don't know if they didn't want her to use the sword because maybe they were like, well, maybe she'll be too much like Wonder Woman if she uses a sword. Maybe that was.
Well, she doesn't. That sword isn't. She doesn't use that sword in the comic either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just
that's the girl's thing. So in the comic again, it's Krem's sword. He leaves it in her dad, and then she takes it because it was the murder weapon, and she's like, when I'm getting revenge on him, I'm going to use the weapon. Sorry, cat's getting into things. She's like, I'm going to use the weapon that he killed my father with to get the revenge. Supergirl never uses that sword. Now, there's I mean, this is a big thing for like the end of the movie and like the choice that they make at the very end. I don't know if we want to get into that yet, but that's like that does sort of tie into the sword and is sort of a big thing.
Yeah. So at the very end, even though this big action scene where they doing Jimmy Eats World the middle. Which it seems like she should have took because the little girl like is in the middle of the thing where she flies in a circle using her. It's like it seems like she should have maybe taken her out of it because it seems like she could have got hit with something. But okay. But at the end, so yeah, Supergirl. Well, actually, the little girl has Krim by the neck with the sword, and she's ready to kill him. And then Supergirl's like, the classic hero stuff, like, it won't take your pain away, and if you do this, you know what I mean, he's gonna live on with you for the rest of your life, and all that stuff. And I thought that she wasn't gonna kill him because sometimes they do that where, the hero will kill all the henchmen, but then get to the main guy. Like Arrow did that a lot. Like he'd kill all these henchmen and then he'd get to the main guy and go like, no, but you must answer for your crimes. It's like, what the fuck? Like you killed some guy, Larry, who's just trying to pay his, his diapers and shit, and you gonna kill him, but not kill this main guy who set all this up. But But the little girl listens to Supergirl, and then Supergirl takes the sword, and that's when she kills Krem. I don't know. Does she kill Krem in the comic?
So the way that this goes in the comic, this whole journey is a lot longer. Like, this is something they're together for months and months and months, traveling around the galaxy looking for this guy, checking in different places and following the trail and losing it and picking it up again and almost catching up, and then him kind of getting away. It's like this takes place over months of time. Like, these two characters get to know each other very, very well. The 3-day like time limit thing they do in the movie it makes it impossible to have any of that rich character relationship that the book has. So in the book, at the end, the younger girl, Ruth, right? She has Krem, and the way the whole scene plays out is great because they actually have him like tied up, and Supergirl is going to take care of something else. And Ruth, she's like, well, I don't want my revenge to just be easy, so she unties him and like gives him a fighting chance, beats him in a fight, then has him like ready to execute, and she can't bring herself to do it. Like, she can't do it. Supergirl's like all the lesson, and again, because they spent all this like long amount of time together, like it did sink in that like this life lesson about how this would not bring her happiness, and she can't bring herself to kill the guy. And something else happens with how terrible like this other scenario is that it's like it's a little bit of a whole thing to get into. It has to do with like a man that was turned into a horse. I'm not going to get fully into that, but something happens, and there's another character that dies that's close to Supergirl, and she is so angry. She comes down and she picks up the sword, and she is thinking about like she's going to kill him. And then the big last scene of the book is actually Ruth talking Supergirl down and being like, no, it did sink in. Like, I know I haven't, acted like it did, but like, and so she kind of has to save Supergirl from going down that dark path. So it's actually the complete opposite. And then Krem doesn't die at all. He goes into the Phantom Zone, and there's even like a couple page flash forward to where Ruth is like an old woman. And Supergirl, of course, she still looks the same. She's basically immortal. But she comes to visit her on her like 80th or 90th birthday or something like that, because Krem's sentence in the Phantom Zone is up. It like he's about to be freed. So they're there to see him come back out of that other dimension and come back into the world. And he is, after like what to him is like a couple hundred years of time in the Phantom Zone, he's completely regretful. He apologizes. He begs for forgiveness. He's completely changed because, again, he was in this infinite, like, crazy long prison sentence. And Ruth, she like basically says, I don't forgive you. She hits him in the head, not killing him, just like a bonk on the head, and then walks away. And that's kind of the end of the book. Now, there was an interview with the writer of the script where she described this ending and said, yeah, and then Ruth kills him anyway at the end. And I was really surprised that she killed him, even after they did the whole time jump and everything. But yeah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, you just read it and didn't understand what literally happened on the page in front of you.
Do you remember what interview it was?
It was on IGN, I think.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting.
She straight up just incorrectly describes what happens at the end of the story, didn't get what happened, and then wrote the movie based on her not knowing what happened.
Interesting there.
So it really, really just kind of ruins and kind of puts up a big middle finger to like the thematic essence of the book.
That sounds like an emotional ending. I mean, it sounds like
it's really good. It's really good. I highly recommend to you to maybe if you could find a way to read this book, because it's short. It's one volume. It's just like a one standalone thing. Wouldn't take you very long. It's really great.
I do have the. I did actually buy it. Actually, I
Oh,
did buy
okay.
it.
Yeah, there you go. It's not very long. I really can't recommend enough to sit down and give it a look.
Is the dog poison in the book too?
Yeah, funny. Um, so he shoots Crypto, steals the spaceship. That happens, and then Supergirl does tell Ruth, "Oh yeah, this point, like I need to be the one to go with you because my dog is poisoned." At the end of the book, when Supergirl's contemplating killing Krem at the very end, one of the ways that Ruth is trying to talk her out of doing it is like, don't you still need him to like explain or like to give you an antidote or explain how the poison was made? And Supergirl's like, oh no, Crypto's fine. He's been fine this entire time. I just told you that because I needed you to listen to me and let me be the one to go with you.
Okay.
It was
It's a fake
it
out.
was a lie. It was a total fake out. It was just a lie Supergirl told because she wanted to make sure she was the one that went with and like was able to keep an eye on her and try and impart that lesson. Um, Crypto was never really in like mortal danger in the book at all.
And that's one thing. So he is in the movie because it's like again, it's kind of like Guardians 3, where they Rocket got hurt, and then
Yeah.
they had. Well, I
Except
think,
Rocket gets to have really good flashbacks and still be like a part of the story.
yeah, where Crypto, he was one of the best things about Superman 2025. I mean, everybody like, I love Crypto, and then he's sidelined in this movie. But yeah, so
I went into this movie thinking he would be like kind of in this more even than he was in Superman. I feel like they marketed this movie
like a buddy movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
like a largely based off of Crypto.
Yeah. But yeah, he's barely in the movie. But so a thing that's also I'm wondering in Martin from Double Toasted, I think he had the same idea. So there's a scene where Kara gets poisoned with kryptonite by the villain who makes custom kryptonite poison needles or whatever. And it
Mhm.
kind of looks like the thing you like an assassin or something, like shoots out thing. Like I forgot who said it. Maybe it was somebody from One of Us. I think it was Nathan from One of Us who said it kind of looked like one of those pencils that you had when you were a kid, where you clicked it and it had all those different colors and everything like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, so he shoots her with it, and then the kryptonite is going through her bloodstream, and you see it, and then so she flies up to go to the sun, and the sun burns out the kryptonite in her body and heals her. But then I guess why could he do the
I
same
I,
thing?
under, I understand the confusion there. The poison that he shoots Crypto with is just a completely unrelated, just very strong alien poison. It's got nothing to do with kryptonite. The
Okay.
thing he shoots her with, all those little needles and like the big fight at the end, is like a new weapon that is just being introduced in that scene.
Oh, okay. So he could. So Kryptonians, when they get poisoned, they can't just like it only works with kryptonite. It doesn't work with any type of thing. It just you can't just fly up and.
Well, in theory, I would think that going going close to a yellow sun would still probably help.
Mhm. But
Yeah, your question I think is still very valid here because uh, when the couple poisons Supergirl because they tell her like, oh yeah, we can help you out and we know where this is, and then they poison her and then they just call the bad guy, which also was kind of a beat from the first Guardians where Drax gets drunk and calls Ronan, and it's sort of like the villain shows up because they got a phone call to like a scenario that was like otherwise seemed safe sort of scene. It's sort of that scene again.
uh,
um but they poison her with, and I think that poison is the same poison that Crypto got hit with.
oh, okay, gotcha.
That's not killing her, it's just painful.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I don't know that planet if it was a red sun planet or I think it was maybe
no,
nighttime, so she couldn't even use the sun anyway.
no, I mean
Um.
that's they have their powers at nighttime.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
Superman and Super, they have their powers at nighttime.
yeah.
So, and that was a yellow sun planet. So she, again, the poison was like made her like put her like in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But she was even in a lot of pain, still sort of like fighting like a little bit in that scene.
Yeah, and they're always
It
trying to
wasn't.
find kind of ways throughout the movie to kind of nerf her and everything, like poison her, or she's
They
on a
are.
red sun, and green sun, or they poison her kryptonite. Again, I guess it's hard because it's like, okay, why can't you just end this in like 5 seconds? So you got to find some way to make it.
Well, that's actually a big thing though in DC Comics is that like once you leave Earth, generally a lot of aliens across the board are significantly stronger, on like a base level over humans.
Yeah.
So like a character like Superman or Supergirl, they do run into stuff that is really strong that can like pose a challenge to them like more commonly when they go to space. So that they could have easily just been like, yeah, people aren't this strong on Earth, but it is kind of common out here. Like they could have just said something basic like that and not had to feel like they had to come up with all these excuses for her to like not have her powers in all these different scenes because she just has things that are stronger and harder to fight anyway. So
Yeah. So that was kind of, they always trying to find some way to do that. And like you said, maybe they could have just gone like, well, I mean, there's other powerful people.
or
Like,
she had to fight Lobo, you know.
yeah, she had to fight Lobo, yeah, or something like that. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything other than that. Did you have anything else that you wanted to?
I think we pretty much covered everything I had to say. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's just bland, artistic, stylistic visual choices, just a script that's not very good, characters feeling like they're just not driving the plot that much. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons that this wasn't really working. Millie Alcock was not one of them. Like, I think she's doing her best with the material that's being given to her, and I still want to see this character more. And so I'll say that over a lot of other bad superhero movies. A lot of those don't make me still want to see that actor play that character again, and I still want to see her. So I guess it's maybe a backhanded compliment or like a small silver lining, but like, yeah, I'm still looking forward to this character appearing more. It didn't like ruin her for me. So
Yeah.